to another episode of. Hold up.
Did you forget it?
Nah, man, it's just technology is stupid, and it doesn't always cooperate as quickly as I need it to cooperate. So I'm like always going through something over here trying to prepare. It's stupid, but I think I found out how to fix this issue. But ain't nothing ever happened. So, welcome to another episode of the Quotes and Mirrors podcast. I'm Tyrell James.
And I am Uncommonterry. Welcome. Yo, before we even get into, we'll get into that in a second. I like to sort the hoodies, huh?
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's dope. I never would the white. I don't know. I guess it really pops with the red.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's super dope.
Yeah.
Can I see the whole joint? The whole.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the small print though?
So right there it says "Don't cross the gun line." That's my tagline.
Oh, okay.
And then that's my website. My website.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Very well done. Did you do this or did you outsource this?
Nah, I did it.
Nice.
I do everything.
So. All right. Well, I gotta give it to you. You did your thing on that one.
Man, you know what? I made a promise to myself, like back in my early 20s, to never pay for something that I can do myself.
That's a pretty big promise, especially considering all the different things that you actually do.
I know.
Like, do the people know that you can literally juggle?
No, but I swear I'll go get some apples right now and juggle. I will juggle right here. I'm telling you, I swear I will.
I'm just saying. I think that's a pretty interesting side note. And anyway,
I'm gonna do one show. I'm gonna juggle. I'm gonna do magic.
I'm not gonna be here for that one.
Well, that's cool. I'll just make it disappear.
You're not just gonna be showing me up. You know what I'm saying? I've had to do something. But anyway, all right. So welcome to Quotes and Mirrors, another episode. This is your first time watching the show. We stick to the name. We pick a quote and we reflect on that quote. We do go back and forth. Last week was my turn. This week is T's turn. You see the quote scrolling down there at the bottom. If you don't, I will read it out for you. Actually, I'll let you read it since it's your quote.
Yeah. So the quote tonight is, "There never was a good war or a bad peace." It's a quote from Benjamin Franklin. And I want to.
He said a lot, huh?
What'd you say?
He said a lot. He got a lot of quotes.
Yeah, he does. He does have a lot of quotes. But just to give a little bit of context or a little bit of the backstory on this. So the phrase "there never was a good war or a bad peace" is a famous quote attributed to Benjamin Franklin, expressing a pacifist view that all wars are ultimately harmful and that even bad peace treaties are preferable to continued conflict.
A bad peace treaty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know what? Before I even go any further, we can start right there. We can start right there with that. I agree with half of this quote. I agree with the second part. I agree with that there was never a bad peace. I don't think that there was ever a bad peace.
Well, because see, first of all, I am nothing even remotely close to a historian, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I think about a bad peace, if you got countries that used to trade with one another, they went to war, whatever. At any rate, whatever the case is, now they don't deal with each other, but they're not at war. You know what I mean? So they're not helping to generate the economy one to the other. So they're technically at peace in the way that they're not, at one another. They're not causing conflict in one country or the other. But there is also, there could be a benefit in a way of commerce that isn't in existence because of whatever previous war or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but if I'm lacking something, am I at peace? Can I really call that peace?
Well, I mean, I guess because peace don't necessarily mean. I guess in this case, I'm wondering. Then, does it mean the presence of calm or just the absence of conflict? Like, because again, they could just not be coming at each other, but just refuse to deal. And yeah, you can be at peace if you
I,
decide you
I,
don't.
I think that peace is the presence of calm, not just the absence of, which is the absence of conflict. I don't think it's just the absence of conflict, because you can like, for instance, I have a couple people that I can't stand, and there's no conflict, but like if we see each other on the street, it's not going to be anything. I'm not going to go on this side of the street, and they damn sure better not come on mine. But but
You're always so playfully violent. I don't understand. It'd be so playful and casual. It just be like I mean, I don't want to see them, and if they see me, then should they just stay on their side? Otherwise, and then
hey, listen,
you just keep it moving.
somebody got to put the fun in funeral. But anyway, um,
Wow. All right. I got you.
so,
Jesus. All right. But okay, but you said but when until you see each other though, right?
mhm,
So you don't have, because you maybe harbor whatever for this person, you don't have an inner peace,
mhm,
but from an exterior perspective, and you're not actually looking for an opportunity to go at each other, right?
mhm, right.
So if you're not looking for that opportunity, then it's just a mere happenstance should it actually come about. So until fate puts you all in a position where the conflict, if it still exists, is addressed, then it is peace, is it not?
I don't think so, because, well, Josh chimed in. He
Oh boy.
said, "I feel like I'm losing my voice." Josh said, he sounds like you're describing a frozen conflict, very different from peace." And I agree with him. That's what it is. It's just a frozen conflict, but it's not peace. It's not peace. Like, if I see somebody that I have issues with, but there's an understanding on both parts that, listen, we're not going to do anything. I don't fool with you. I don't like you,
Hmm.
but that's not necessarily peace for me. It's just a frozen conflict. We have just decided to not act on this. That's
Well,
it.
I guess what I'm thinking is it's the same outcome, because whether we're at peace or in the midst of a frozen conflict, which is an interesting phrase,
Mhm.
um, the outcome is still that we're not coming at each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
As a matter of fact, frozen conflict sounds like a bad piece.
it's so all right. So put it this way: if I see somebody, if I see somebody, there's two people off the top of my head I'm thinking of, right? If I was like see them, and yo, so I actually saw one of these dudes probably a couple weeks ago. I was driving by. We were driving by each other, right?
Okay.
And I looked at him as he was driving by, and I ain't whatever, kept on driving. But then this thought came to my mind, was like, yo, if this dude runs off the side of the road right now, and I like happen to like look in my rear view mirror and I see him just run off the side of the road, not to the point where like it kills him or anything like that, but if he just runs off the side of the road, I'm gonna laugh. So that's not a peaceful thought.
I
That's not
mean, I
peace.
don't know. It doesn't sound like it sounds like it would actually be pretty peaceful for you. You wouldn't reluctantly chuckle. That would be full on genuine authentic giggle.
I probably had to like pull over because I'm laughing too hard.
Yeah. See, so I think that would actually be that would be quite peaceful for you. But I think again it would be a bad peace, because that would be at the result of someone else's detriment.
Hey, that's your perception. That's a bad piece. That's um. Listen, let me tell you something. When I laugh, boy, ain't nothing bad about it. And what? I'm gonna do one of them laughs. Remember that time me, you, Quentin, Just was in the car and we saw I can't really say
Oh
it, but
yeah.
exactly the way that you laughed at that situation. Yeah, that's. I'm gonna let out one of them laughs, okay?
Yeah, that was a full on guffaw.
Yo, yo, there's no better way to describe that. Yo, yo, Josh, Josh said the difference between
Mm,
peace and the frozen
that was
conflict is
wild. That
that
was wild.
a frozen conflict can turn into a hot conflict at any moment. There is
Oh,
a mutual trust.
all right. So hold on. Say that again because it was a blip and you went dark. You went black for a second, and then I couldn't hear you, and then you came back, and I heard mutual trust.
Oh, okay. So Josh said that the difference between peace and a frozen conflict is that a frozen conflict can turn into a hot conflict at any moment. There is a mutual trust. So that makes sense because now if I come across somebody that I don't fool with, I mean, even if we have the understanding that, all right, listen, I ain't beefing with you, you ain't beefing with me, we're just gonna let this go. But I still don't know if I completely trust it. So I'm still on guard. Like I'm still watching you. I'm still watching you. Like, yo, I've been
Okay, so hold on.
this was a while back, a long time ago, but I was somewhere where there was a guy there and his boys were there, and I wasn't cool with them. It was an issue. I walked over to them, and of course they like, what's up? I said, listen, I ain't here for beef, for real. But
Mm-hmm.
if y'all are gonna be here and me and my people are going to be here and we're just trying to have a good time, I just want to make sure everything's good. We can have our issues or whatever outside of here, but while we're here, I listen, if it's cool with y'all, let's just let this go. And they were
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, cool, no problem. I was like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, let y'all live over there. We gonna live over here, right? I
Sound like
was
peace.
no, I didn't trust it. So I now nothing happened. Nothing happened, but I was on guard, and so were they all night. It was a frozen conflict because
I
they're still
mean, but
watching. They're still
do
watching
you
me,
have to trust?
huh?
Do you have to trust? You can simply agree. You don't have to trust.
I don't know if I don't know if I trust what we have agreed on.
Then
Like
you don't.
I don't trust an enemy.
But
I
you don't
trust
have to trust.
the
You don't
only
have
the
to
only
trust.
thing,
You agreed. So you don't really have to. Yeah, you don't have to trust.
but agreeing is trusting. I'm trusting that you're going to uphold your side of the agreement. But so I don't trust that you're going to uphold your side of the agreement. I hope you will. I
Yeah,
hope
but
you will. I don't
that
trust
just
that you
means that
will.
when they that means that if you say you agree, right, and you go on your side, they go on your side. Should they come on your side and bring conflict, you ain't surprised. That's all that means. But you don't have to. You don't really have to trust it. As a matter of fact, you won't trust it because you know that you're already ready to respond to them. It ain't gonna be no, oh, wait a second, what's going on here? No, it's gonna be they come at you and you're gonna meet them halfway. You know what I mean? Even though you brought the agreement to them, because they got no reason to trust you either.
What is the agreement then?
The agreement is that we're not gonna bring active conflict. We know
So
we got beef. We know we got beef. We know we have legitimate reason, excuse me, to dislike one another. But right now, in this space, we're gonna agree that this is a neutral space. You have a good time over here. I'm gonna go have a good time over here. That's what you said y'all agreed on. Now, you don't have to trust it. As a matter of fact, should they actually break that agreement, all that's going to do is fuel the fact that you didn't trust it to begin with.
I think for me, agree and trust work hand in hand. Because if I agree to something with you, I'm trusting that you're going to uphold your end of the agreement.
Okay, so you came over to this cat and you told them that within this space, we're not going to beef.
Right.
If we got beef outside of here. So when you came to this, when you brung this to them, you were speaking to an enemy, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't trust your enemies.
Mm-mm.
So how did y'all agree? And you go your way and he go his way.
We just both decided that there was something more important here. We were in a strip club. It's much better to just look at naked women instead of beefing with each other. So I think that the thing that we agreed on is the naked women, is the naked women that were on stage, rather than
Regardless of the basis of the agreement, the presence of the agreement is what we're actually talking about.
right. So that's where the trust comes in.
You didn't. You trusted him.
No, I didn't trust him. I'm saying that's where trust would come in. So let me say that. That's where trust would come in with the
Yeah, but
agreement.
it doesn't have to be present
No,
in order for you to
no.
agree.
But trust was hindsight in this instance. It was I looked back and was like, cool, I trusted him.
I
You know,
don't think trust played a role. I don't think trust played a role at all. Because again, you wouldn't have been surprised. You wouldn't have been blindsided should they
no,
have
it didn't.
decided to pop off.
No, it didn't. It didn't trust. I mean,
Right,
it
but
didn't play a role.
trust it didn't play a role, but there was an agreement.
Okay, my bad. Um,
What?
I'm sorry. I just got a text message. Um, about that night. Nothing.
Oh,
Anyway.
okay.
So, but trust trust does not play a role unless I have a reason to believe that I can trust you. I did not believe that I had a reason to trust him until the night was over and nothing happened.
Okay,
So,
but
so
we
for me,
hold on,
trust
hold on.
was hindsight.
But
But in that moment,
we can't sidestep that you said that you think agreement and trust go hand in hand.
right?
All right, so you all agreed that it was a neutral space
Mm-hmm.
in the moment of the exchange, the communication. You agreed that it's a neutral space, so you're gonna stay on your side, I'm gonna stay on my side. But you didn't trust him
I
until after
didn't.
the fact. Which, by the way, you didn't trust him until you didn't have to trust him.
I didn't. So put it this way: the agreement and the trust was hindsight because I didn't know that there was that he was going to stick to the agreement until the night was over.
But no, but the agreement was spoken. That was definitely a real time situation.
Yeah, but this was hope. I hope that this night goes well. I hope that this doesn't turn into anything.
I mean, you can
That's what that
definitely
was.
add some things on top of it if you want, but the foundation would still be the agreement. You know what I mean? You all agreed. You did.
I'm
I
so
mean,
glad. I'm so glad that we're disagreeing because we have been agreeing too much the past few weeks, and it's like, what in the world is happening here? We can't keep doing this. Like this is.
well, it's nothing wrong if we agree. Yeah, I mean, we just
I know.
we still have separate perspectives. In this situation, though, we definitely disagree. I'm sorry. That was y'all had an agreement, and trust didn't actually play a role. And I think that that was a I think that was a bad piece because you couldn't trust it honestly, and you wasn't even prepared. You didn't even you weren't even ready to trust it. You was ready should something pop off because you identified this cat as an enemy.
There
You
was no peace.
identified him as an enemy. You got no reason to trust him whatsoever.
You said that was a bad piece. There was no peace.
Ah, there was a
I,
piece. Y'all was in the strip club and y'all was chilling.
I was. It was a piece of something, but
It
it
was
was.
definitely a piece. It was definitely a piece. You might spell it different, but it was definitely a piece.
Yo, Josh said you don't have a contingency plan against people you're at peace with, but if I'm in a frozen conflict with you, then I will. I have contingency plans against people who I don't trust.
You have a contingency plan against anything. I mean, it's fine to have because you got people that only have a plan A, and then you got people that have a plan B. That's not because they don't trust plan A. It's because they're just prepared at all costs. That's all.
Okay, cool.
Contingency I mean, for all intents and purposes, just means alternate. You have the ability to pivot. Okay, cool. That's in any circumstance.
Not necessarily, because my plan B is always to enforce plan A. But but
But then
okay.
you always have you then you always got a plan A. There ain't nothing wrong with that. Some people are like that, definitely. Well, all you got is a plan A, and
Well,
that's
I
cool.
mean, cool. Then I got two plan A's. I got AA, which is ironic because I'm drinking.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
First of all, that's not very funny. Okay, some people are suffering.
I'll
All right.
drink to that. Cheers.
Jesus. Jesus. You know what? There's no reason to expect much more after you said put the fun in funeral. All right. It was funny though. I ain't gonna front.
Yo.
But anyway, so I would like to cause did you by any chance cite like just the wars period? Because you know what, actually Josh, I guarantee you he got a couple of wars in his head right now that he can actually break down as to what the reason for the war was, and
Josh
we
has
can really
probably been in wars that we don't know about.
I'm just saying, so we can actually decide on what was, a good war or a bad peace. Like, huh? So okay, so how about the civil war, right?
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand, that was about, you know, it was framed as freeing slavery, but the truth of the matter is, you had the South that didn't want to do the work and have to do all the labor on themselves, so they wanted to keep slavery for that purpose, and so, but the result of that war was at least the beginning of the freeing of slaves, of the abolishment of slavery. So
Which is why the first part of this I don't agree with. That there
you said
never
the
was a
first.
good war.
Okay,
That
okay.
there
So
never
you
was
say
a good war.
there was a good war.
Yeah, yeah. I believe that there are good wars. I believe it's so. As a matter of fact, this takes me back to remember the a few weeks ago the quote that we had. Well, my quote, my original quote, that the world is a better place when some people die, when certain people die. Yes.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's a good war when there are certain people that are causing conflict. I'm trying to be. Yeah, I woke up a little combative this morning, so I'm trying to be careful with the way I say things. Um,
Okay. You ain't got to tiptoe with me. I'm fine.
nah, it ain't you. It's the millions and millions of people that are watching.
Oh, I think they'll be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Um,
they'd rather see you go ahead and be you.
um, but I think that I definitely do think that war in certain cases is necessary, whether we're talking about nations
Necessary and good
warring,
aren't the same word.
necessary, and well, I'm using them interchangeably right now. I get to
Okay.
I get to make the rules because this is my perception. Welcome to my gray area.
but,
So
but but good and necessary are not the same thing.
until I make them. No, they're not the same thing. I'm just they're cousins. They're cousins right now.
I mean, you can good can be necessary.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and necessary can be good, but it's not an overlay. They.
So good meaning the outcome. Let me say that. Um
Oh, okay.
yeah.
What's
Keena
that?
told me. Keena told me say what's on my mind. hey, hey
Oh.
Keena, I can't. Keena, I really want to, but I don't want to get shut down. I'm not trying to get. I still have a brand to protect, so I got to be careful with certain things I got to say, or what I want to say.
No doubt.
Um, um, I do believe that, that there are instances where there is definitely a good and necessary war. If you are and when I say war, I'm not talking about just war the way we've seen it, with history. I'm talking about if I got to go to war with somebody over something. I mean, it could be business, it could be something personal, I'm just talking about a fight.
Okay.
Talking about a fight here. And I do think that there are times where there are definitely good wars, good fights. You may be trying. Oh, well, going back to the Civil War, that's a perfect example right there.
I mean, it
That's a
was
perfect
good
example.
for.
I mean, for one side, this is a good war.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it. Well, yeah. Um.
I mean, both sides were probably looking at it as a good war, honestly.
Well, so I see. I really need to actually research that because it kind of just looks like like the North was actually fighting to abolish. I don't know. I don't know. Let me ask. I don't know if either was actually fighting to abolish slavery, or if they were just trying to whoever was trying to hold on to the biggest footprint as far as the industry is concerned and getting the actual work done. Because I do remember specifically that the South was just fighting because they wanted to keep their free labor. You know what I mean? They didn't want to do it. So good war. I guess it had a good outcome, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that maybe even didn't have the same mindset, but had to go to war because of their positioning, and they died as a result of it. Wasn't very good for them.
Now, okay, I'm glad you brought that up because I want to get more into what happened here. Um, Never mind, it's gone. I want to actually, I do want to bring this up though. I don't know what just happened here, but because I had all of these, this is stupid. This is
You're gonna have to start saying some real sentences here. Nobody knows what's happening.
I know but that includes me. I don't know what's happening. I don't know why my phone is acting up. Okay, here we go. I found it. So the origin of Ben Franklin's quote. So did I say this already?
Nope, not that I
Not.
recall.
Okay, all right. So we'll start there. So the origin, the quote is often associated with Benjamin Franklin, a key figure in the American Revolution and a diplomat who played a crucial role in negotiating the Treaty of Paris in 1783, which ended the war. The meaning, the quote suggests that war, even when seemingly justified, is a destructive force, and that any peace, however imperfect, is preferable to the ongoing suffering and loss of life caused by conflict. So, right there, I get that part right there. So the thing is, if we have two
Put it on
sides,
in your own words.
what'd you say?
Put it in your own words.
So if you have two sides about to go to
Oh, you
war,
froze on me.
it's frozen. I think
Not anymore. It did for a
okay.
second though.
I think if you have two sides that are going to war, right, or about to go to war, and you have two sides that are about to go to war, and let me look at this again. I want to make sure I say this right. Okay. The quote suggests that war, even when seemingly justified, is a destructive force, and that any peace, however imperfect, is preferable. See, that's what my problem is. An imperfect peace. An imperfect peace. I don't see that as peace.
Yo, you are breaking up pretty bad.
I don't think it's me. I think it's you.
I didn't get that.
Huh?
It might be me.
Oh, okay.
It
Are
might be
you?
on this side.
I see you have
I
a
mean,
different background. Are you in the same place? It's probably the answer to my question right there.
I see you trying to say something, but I can't.
Um, I hate technology. I swear, I want to go back to just being a caveman. We could do this podcast just writing on walls. This is stupid. Okay, you heard that.
I did hear that. And also, if you were asking me if I'm in the same room, I am in the same room. I'm just
Really?
on the other side of it. like literally 4 feet away.
I wonder if being on the other side.
But the computer's not even. The computer really is. The computer really is just. It's turned this way or this way.
That's it. Well, I was just told that neither one of us are breaking up on live. So since
so
since
all right, well,
this is on your part, on your side, pretty sure that this is your fault. But I'm about to read another comment. So Monty said, first, there are no good or bad. Second, this country has never had the jumps in technology, medicine, or economic growth without war. Sidebar: the North had machines to sell to the South. The South had no reason to buy steam pickers, etc., if they had slaves.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, but he said first that there's no good or bad. I think that that's interesting because that leaves it up to a whole perception thing.
You don't do very well with that.
What'd you say?
So I don't do very well with that.
Yeah, I know you don't. And Josh said I vehemently disagree with that quote. I disagree with the first part of the quote, just not the second part, because I do think that I don't think there's ever been a bad peace. But when we're talking about peace, so the way that I look at peace, I have to be at peace with what has happened. It's not just the fact that we have decided that there won't be any conflict. I have to be at peace with this decision. If I'm not at peace with this decision, then this isn't peace. This isn't peace for me. And as a matter of fact, if we have decided that we're not going to have any conflict, that I got you, Josh. I got you. If we have decided that it's going to that there's going to be peace, but I still don't trust you. Then I'm not at peace. Because I still feel like again, it goes back to it being a frozen conflict. So now, if this is a frozen conflict, if this is a frozen conflict, and so if this is a frozen conflict, that means that now I'm ready. I'm still ready in the event that something goes left here. I'm not at peace at this point. So now, if things go left and now we're back at war, okay, cool. So now, in order for me to maybe achieve the peace that I need, I may need to have this war now. So I will go to war with you. I will definitely go to war with you. And if I'm able to win this war, now I can achieve my peace.
But I mean, you keep saying my peace, right? So, I mean, because I don't get the impression that this Benjamin Franklin is just speaking about himself and his perception of war or peace, as it affects just him. You know what I mean? So, and also, huh?
He can't speak for me though.
Well, you don't have to speak. Because that's that's the point of contention. You know, what I mean, if you can speak for the majority, then let the majority be the majority. You know what I'm saying? Like, excuse me. But we can't. If you a cold conflict or whatever, if you like it's a lie for you to even agree to. I guess you know what. I guess that would be not you. Wouldn't be you agreeing to peace. But that could. You agree to a ceasefire. You're saying that a ceasefire is not necessarily a peace.
Right. No, not necessarily.
But it could be peace.
It could be. It could be. Okay. But for me, it's going to be in hindsight. I'll be able to look back and be like, okay, there was peace there. But peace also comes with how I feel about the situation. So if I feel that there's peace, like for instance, going back to the example that I was telling you about earlier when I was at the strip club with the dudes, and then I go over there to them and I'm like, yo, ceasefire. That nothing's going to happen here, right? And they're like, All right, cool, no problem, right? Time went on, and I ended up running into this guy again, and we actually had a ceasefire. We pieced it up for real, because we're cool now.
Mhm.
We're cool now.
Mhm.
So there was actual peace, and now I am at peace with that. But had we never had a conversation and we continued to run into each other every time that we ran into each other, if I had to keep going to him and be like, "Yo, are we good here?" I'm never at peace. I'm
See,
never at peace.
that's what I think qualifies as a bad piece because because it's still volatile, but it hasn't popped off. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
but that's not peace. That's not peace because
it's a
if
bad
we
piece.
no, it's just a ceasefire. That's it. It's
Same
a
thing.
ceasefire. That's all that is. We have just decided not to go at each other right now. But I'm
Same
not at
thing.
peace with this.
Yeah, but peace is the result because the the thing is that one of your statements, two things can be true. Peace can be defined as the absence of conflict as well as the presence of calm.
Right. But peace is also what I say that it is. So if I'm not at peace, yo, so okay, all right. You know what? So check this out. Check this out. So when I talk about the gray area, right? And I talk about
Mm-hmm.
my perception of things, that's me understanding how much control and power I have over things, right? And over situations. It's me understanding I don't have to just listen to what everybody else says. And if somebody says that things are supposed to be a certain way, I am well within my right to be like, no, it ain't. Because
No,
I
hundred
don't I
percent.
don't agree with it because I don't agree with it. So that's what it is. When I talk about my gray areas, that's exactly what it is for me. It's me saying I'm not about to sit here and just conform and just go along with what everybody else is saying. If I feel differently, no, because the fact of the matter, stop. Um,
I mean, but that wasn't a question. That was fully understood.
okay. So with that being said, going back to this whole peace thing, for me, peace means yes, there is a ceasefire, but peace also means if we're talking about complete peace, for me, in order for me to reach complete peace, I have to feel that I have to be at peace too. I need to be able to rest easy.
I
I
mean,
need to be able to like I put it this way. Oh, you know what? Tell you what, put it this way. How can I say this? You know what? It's cool. Time has passed. Whatever. I'll say, listen, same situation, right? Part of the reason that I went and decided to try to make this, I wanted to call it at least a temporary truce, was because
mm-hmm,
I knew what he had on that side with his people, and I knew what I had on my
mm-hmm,
side. And I knew that this could turn into a shootout in the strip
mm-hmm.
club, right? So if I go to you and I'm like, listen, everything's cool, y'all cool, we cool, and we gonna leave this alone, right? All
Mm-hmm.
right, cool. So I'm hoping that this could be a truce, right? If you and I run into each other again on the street,
Mm-hmm.
now I have to be thinking about what's about to pop off now. What's about to pop off now, right? And because I know what's on your side, even when I go to sleep and I lay down at night, I'm not completely at peace. I'm not completely at peace because I know what could happen. I know what could happen. So now and even I walk outside, I'm looking over my shoulder because I know what's up, right? The moment that he and I had this conversation and we were able to squash this thing, and the funny thing was we had this conversation and we both were thinking the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, yo, I'm gonna be honest with you, dog. I'm glad that we're able to put this thing to rest because I know what you got on your side. And he said, I know what you got on your side. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that we have come to an understanding and that this thing is over because this thing ends badly. It ends very, very badly if this thing escalates. And at that point, I had peace. I was able to sleep well at night. I wasn't looking over my shoulder anymore. My people, well, they weren't looking over their shoulder. His people, they weren't looking over their shoulder. Everybody is at peace now. So for me, it's not just about agreeing that we won't do anything right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's about coming to an understanding that brings us all to a point of peace.
So okay, so I guess is there a such thing as good peace and bad peace?
I don't think there's a such thing as bad peace.
Okay, so if it's peace, is good, plain and simple.
Yeah, yeah. Yo, we got a lot of comments. Let me try to read through these real fast. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So Keena said, we are all going to fight slash push for something that means a lot to them. And at times we need to change and war or fighting for what is right or 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 far can be healthy. But there will be a loser and a winner. That's true. Now,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and again, yeah, we all gonna have to fight for something. And if I'm fighting for something, then for me, it's a good war. It's a good war. I have something to fight for. That is a good war for me.
I mean,
Now,
but you also got something to lose. If you got something to fight for, you got something to lose.
absolutely.
Namely, in war, your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Or my peace, depending on what I'm fighting for. Because I could lose,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things that I may lose could be my peace.
Mm-hmm.
I could lose my piece. All right. Matt said Monty. He's responding to what Monty said earlier. He said, Monty, you're half right. There is no good, but there is absolutely bad. I have seen evil, and it unquestionably exists. Even bad and good can be subjective, but it's much easier to prove the existence of bad than it is proving the existence of good, if you know. Then Matt said Benjamin Franklin was an elite level creep, and he might have been a serial killer. He may have been a serial killer. Late to the party. I'm just sharing some context. I'm sorry I missed this. That's not peace. It's more like passive conflict. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what this is. It's passive conflict, or like Josh said, it's a frozen conflict. Yeah. Um,
What in the world is passive conflict?
I
That
agree. I
that that
understand
is
exactly what he's
that
saying.
that rings as a direct contradiction in terms.
And,
Passive.
and and then he said, an internal peace is the only real peace, and that's what I'm getting to. Like that, he said.
Well,
In
see,
fact,
I mean,
the lack of
I
violence
don't.
can prevent my peace. He said a lot. He said a lot. He said a lot.
I mean, but see, the thing is, the reason, like, as far as the internal piece, like, I can just disregard things. Like, this is the thing for me, because when I have conflict with someone, or if I get into a conflict with someone, I'm a facts over feelings type of cat. So my first question is this person even necessary? Like, this relationship, is it necessary? Do I need this? How is it serving me? Because the truth of the matter is, if we don't get along and then I think about it and realize we don't have to, I can just disregard you.
Right.
You no
Mm-hmm.
longer matter to me, and I'm at peace with that. We're not at peace.
Mm-hmm.
We're not at peace because you got whatever you got against me. But I've decided that you're a non-issue.
Well, then
You
there's
know what
no
I mean?
need for war at that point. See,
No,
war.
not from my perspective. But see,
Right.
but so it's a from that perspective, they're not at peace. For them, it's a bad peace because nothing is actually being addressed, thereby nothing is being solved. But they still got an issue, and I've considered you're a non-issue. I'm not even going to address you for what.
So, but peace doesn't always mean that both parties get peace. Like I have an issue. Like the dude that I was talking about earlier that I drove by a couple weeks ago, he became.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're frozen. Okay, there you go. So when I drove by him, when I saw the dude, I first of all, I stopped dealing with this dude probably about a year and a half ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at peace with it. Now he isn't. I don't believe he's at peace because he has continued to make comments and to say things and try to slander my name. But I was at peace with the decision of getting rid of him. But it's easy for me to make the decision to not have to go to war with him because he's not important enough. His voice isn't far reaching enough. He doesn't have enough influence to make an impact on my life or my business. So all of the things that he's done and all of the things that he has said, it means absolutely nothing. There's no need for war at this point. But I'm at peace just with not having him in my life. But he's not at peace because he still continued to make comments. He still continued to say whatever about me. But so it doesn't mean that peace is going to be on both ends. Sometimes it's just about the peace that I need. I don't even necessarily need the war. I think you're frozen again. So from now on, this is what we're going to do. You're not going to sit at this point, this place, wherever you're sitting. You're not going to sit there anymore during the podcast. You're going to have to go to the other side because you're frozen. And I don't even know if the people can hear you.
Yeah, I'm about to. Yeah, it froze. It froze for like a good 20 seconds. Give
I
me
know.
1 second.
I tried to keep talking so that All right. So while he does that, let me see if there's any more comments that I can read. Okay. Now let's go. There's the only pieces when okay. So Matt said the only bad piece is when peace is an illusion. Exactly. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. If you know, you know. Acts over feelings instead of facts over feelings. Oh man. Okay, but all conflicts are not as simple as that. Just because you decide someone is a non-issue doesn't mean they are. As long as they have animosity, it's not over. It's better you address them before they address you. As long as you know they have smoke, I can't sleep. Who is this individual? See, this is why I gotta be careful saying stuff because hey Matt, everything's cool. Everything's cool, bro. I promise you. I promise you, everything's cool. So yeah, but that can be dangerous. Even that all right. I'm gonna leave that part out, Matt. We'll talk about that later.
Can you hear me?
We'll leave that part out. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Let's see if it's any better. I don't know why it would be because I'm literally my computer is literally 12 inches, maybe 2 feet from where it was.
Really? I bet it won't mess up no more.
Yep. It just did.
But hey, Matt, you can relax, man. We good. Everything's good, bro. I promise you, everything's good. But
yeah, but what I was saying is like I even like I heard somebody talking about it for just because you decide there's a non-issue that they're a non-issue, that doesn't mean that they're not an issue. That's a bad piece, right? Because I'm like, me deciding that I'm just not going to deal with you doesn't mean that you decided that you're not going to deal with me. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, yeah, but
I'm not about to walk around. But I'm not about to walk around because walk around wondering if and what and when and whatever. If I've decided that you're a non-issue, and I guess that qualifies as a bad piece because okay, maybe I'm not as aware or whatever because I'm not looking over my shoulder. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about.
So I'm up. Matt, I say so. I promise you, bro. I promise you. So so you said something about the person being a non-factor. What did say that again? What did you say about the person being a non-factor?
I was just saying, I heard somebody say when you're reading the comments that if I decide that somebody is a non-issue, that doesn't mean that they're not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that that is an example of like a bad piece for me to just disregard the other individual. Um, I think that qualifies as a bad piece. I mean, I've done it and I'll continue to do it, to be perfectly honest with you, just because I'm not going to be controlled by somebody else's actions. You know what I mean? But it also may mean that maybe I'm not as on guard, I guess, as I could be or should be in the event that I'm aware of somebody else having whatever they got against me. But I'm just not in. I'm not gonna worry about you. You know what I mean? It's just,
But you're at
yeah, I'm
peace.
just not gonna worry.
You're
Huh?
at peace. Yeah, but you're at peace at that point, right?
Yeah, but I was like I said, I think that's an example of a bad piece in a way because you you are you are you're technically, I guess at any point you're vulnerable depending on what a person wants to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you are, there's a difference though. There's a different level of vulnerability, or not even saying if you're vulnerable based on unpredictability, excuse me, versus just not being prepared. That's two different things.
So I just looked up the definition of peace. So peace says freedom from disturbance, or tranquility. I mean, not freedom from tranquility. It's comma, well, semicolon, tranquility. So,
I didn't get that because it broke up again.
oh, I said, so I looked up the definition of peace, and it says freedom from
Hmm.
disturbance, and then also tranquility.
Okay, two different things, got it.
I can
I
see why
mean,
you say that.
they're yeah, they could be both because it's just like what we were talking about earlier: the presence of calm or the absence of conflict. That's essentially what they just said.
Okay, so now the question becomes, what does peace mean to you?
Peace is peace. It's both. Like I said, it's both of those. So I could just be calm and chilling, or it could just be the absence of an incident.
Okay, so tell me this: do you
You
think
know what I
that you
mean?
can achieve peace through war?
I think you can achieve peace through war? Um, yeah, because the version of peace that is the presence of calm sometimes will have to come from you having to defeat an enemy because there won't be calm otherwise.
So, do you believe now, with you saying that there's a good war?
Um,
I'm trying to see if we agree on that
there,
part of the quote.
well, that's too general a statement because uh, the good is the good is I've defeated that individual and no longer have to worry about them. The bad is that person. I mean, if we just break it way down to just a street issue, which you ain't gonna find me involved in, but uh, then the loss of that individual, somebody lost a son, a brother, a father, a cousin, or whatever. So for that side, nah, that wasn't a good war at all.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, if I'm in a war, my piece is the only one that matters. So if somebody on the other
Um,
side, like if somebody, put it this way, my heart may go out to the innocent people that are affected by the loss of this person that I was going to war with, right? Because they had absolutely
yeah,
nothing to do with this, right? So my heart goes out to you. But I am completely at peace with the decision that I had to make because my family doesn't have to mourn my loss. And the thing is
right,
this, if I would have, so if this war, if me losing this war meant that my family is going to have it's going to be at some sort of unrest, then no, you got to go. And unfortunately that means that your people cannot be at peace. Listen, that those are the casualties of war. Those are the things that happen with war. So, but I got to fight for my peace at that point and for the peace of the people around me.
yeah, but the question is not asking is this war good for you? or is this war good for him or the individual? The thing is, was it a good war? Period. The generalization of a
Yeah,
good war, is it all good?
but he said there never was a good war. Never. That's the problem. That word right there,
Right.
never. And yes, there has been. And yes, there will be.
But okay, so you're saying that there is a war that everybody involved would consider good.
No.
The result of a war that, well, then it can't be just a good war. It was a good thing for some people and bad for others, right?
If I go to war and I win, it was a good war for me.
Yeah, that's what I said. But but it wasn't just a good war. It was good specific to whoever the victor is.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
yeah, so but that worked. So it was a good war. It was a good war. Yo, it's just like with sports, somebody's going to lose. And you know what you say after the game? Good game. It was a good game for the one who won. Hey, listen, it could have been a good war for y'all because like if I had 20 people on my side and you had 20 people on your side and nothing. I don't want to use that example. I won't use that example. I'll take that back. I'll take that back. Act like I never said that. So
no, I'm saying, I mean, as we continue to talk about it, um, like I don't know what I mean, the bad peace thing is, like I said, if you're just kind of, there's a one-sided thing. If you consider yourself to be at peace because you decided the person is a non-issue, but that person is still fired up, then that's a bad peace when it's one-sided, because you just never know what's going to happen. You're not prepared, nor are you actually pursuing the actual resolution of the situation. You're just kind of at risk, right? And then as far as the good war is concerned, there isn't going to be, I won't say that, I guess I'd have to say it to agree with the Pope, where everybody that was involved, and we talking about a war, not a game, a war, where everybody that was involved is like, you know what, yeah, this is a good thing Tommy got killed. What about you, man? It's a good thing y'all took care of Derek, because you know we don't know what we was gonna do with him. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna be that where it's just gonna be a wash where it was just coincidentally you took out all of the annoying people on my side and I took out all the annoying people on your side. And you're like, you know what? When it come down to it, I don't know what we was fighting for in the beginning. No, it's not gonna be like that.
okay, all right.
What's up? What does comments say?
If that happens, it's a good war. You get rid of your annoying people. Get rid of my annoying people. That works. It's a good war.
You know what I mean? I'm just saying that's mad. That's crazy. And when you think about it, something like that, our conflict doesn't even have to happen because it basically ain't even really us. You know what I mean? You just turn to face your own people to get rid of the people and be done with it.
So your
You know what I mean?
stance is
So
that in order for it to be a good war, it has to be a good war all the way around, both parties.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're gonna say it's a good war, then you have to hear that it was a good war from both sides.
Now,
Now,
if,
if it was a good war for me, you want to put that then yeah, because I won or they won. But in
so,
general, not in
but
general, but all inclusive. Go ahead.
but that wouldn't make sense for it to be a good war all the way around because that means that it was a good outcome on your side, it was a good outcome on my side, and that's not how wars are set up. Somebody has to lose.
So yeah, I mean, but that's what we're saying, that there never was a good war. You just said that
No, I'm
somebody got to
saying
lose. Some,
no, I'm saying if I go to war and I win the war, this was a good war.
okay. So yeah, so we disagree then, because I think what he's saying is that a good war, not a good war for the victor, but a good war, period. all just an overarching situation that this was a good idea, and everybody, all parties involved, are not going to agree with
Right.
that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because if you look at, so let's say, all right, let's go back to the Civil War. All right, I feel like that was a good war because ultimately slavery was abolished.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, and I'm not defending the racists, but they their families are not gonna. There was a good purpose,
Hmm.
right? But if the abolishment of slavery could have occurred without war, that would have been great.
Yes, I agree with you,
But
but because we were forced to have to go to war, then I'm a, basically, I don't think there's another way to put this. Fuck their families. Whatever. It's like, whatever. I don't
I
give a
mean,
damn.
but but
Whatever.
but you but understand. I mean, there's still people. There were slaves that was in war that maybe wouldn't have died otherwise. Not, necessarily violent. They could have lived longer lives. They could have had kids that they died, but they died in the war.
You talking about on our side?
When you say our, who are you speaking of? Because the Civil War is the North and the South. It wasn't the slaves versus the white folks.
I'm talking about the side that we would. Come on now. I wouldn't be on the Confederate side. I mean,
Look, I don't even know which side was the Confederate side. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's not my bag. But I'm just saying, you know, it people that died unnecessarily. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I
that's
mean, and that sucks. That part sucks, right? And the casualties that come along with, oh, now my internet is doing some interesting things. Hmm. I'm not breaking up though, am I? Am I good?
nope.
Okay.
You fine. You're
All right.
a little
Really?
fuzzy, but I can hear your audio fine.
Okay. Well, I mean, we a little over an hour, so we can go ahead and bring it to a close anyway. I don't know what's going. Oh, you know what? It's probably the weather. That's probably what's messing us up tonight. But
Okay.
um, but the unfortunate part of war is that um the unfortunate side of war is that there are casualties, right?
Yeah.
But soldiers go to war with the understanding that I could die. I could die fighting for my country, that I could die fighting for my freedom. I could die fighting for whatever it is that I'm fighting for, right? But
Hmm.
if I die fighting and ultimately we win, I believe that now there's another peace. Even though that soldier has died, that they can actually rest in peace at this point, knowing that they fought a good war, that they fought for something that was meaningful. So now it becomes a good war.
You're not going to put me in a position where I decide that, you know what, because my father died admirably, that I would preferred him die that way than live here with me, than be here with me. And
No,
war is the reason that he died in that fashion. Okay, but
but I'm
I would
I'm
much
talking
rather him
about
be here.
but I'm talking about his peace. I'm talking about
Hmm?
his peace at this point. So
He wouldn't rather. Ain't nobody coming home from war alive with their head down. I should have died. I would have been at peace if I'd have died. That
no,
ain't
no, no,
happening.
no, no, that's not what I was saying. Um, so I think that good war and peace is subjective.
What? That it makes sense for you to say that.
Exactly, it does. It's its own brand for me because because if if all right, I tell you what, let's take war off the table. Let's just say a fight. Let's say a fight, right? A bully is bullying me, right? So matter of fact, I was bullied. Okay, ready to tell my story. When I was 5 years old,
What happened? What happened to we running up on an hour?
I just realized that we got more hours in life. So I was bullied when I was 5 years old by this boy named Chris, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't at peace because every day I come to school, this boy would bother me, and I just wanted to be friends. I'm 5 years old. I just want to be friends, and I want to play, and that's all I want to do. But he just wanted to bully me, right? So eventually, I fought back, right? And I beat this boy up. And the teacher called mom and said, Miss James, I just want to let you know that Tyrell was in a fight. He's okay. He beat up Chris. And then she said, but between me and you, I'm so glad that he did it because he finally fought back. and she didn't even like this boy. Yo, how are you 5 years old and adults don't like you? Whatever. He was an asshole. Anyway, 5-year-old asshole.
Kids.
Yeah, exactly. He was a 5-year-old asshole. So, but that was a good fight for me. But that was my war at that age. That was a good fight or my good war. I fought this, and eventually I was able to have peace because after that, Chris stopped bothering me, and I was able to come to school and just be at peace. And now I can color without this fool trying to take my crayons. Because now he knows I will shove this crayon in your eye if you keep playing with me. But I'm at peace now. So it was a good war for me. It was a good fight.
Well, like I said, if it's, it ends up being a one-sided situation, but he's not talking. He's speaking as war. There never was a good war as a whole, I think is what he's saying.
Well, he should have said that then, because I wouldn't have chose this quote if he said that. All right, it would have been different.
Well, he didn't say that there never was a good war for one side, but you added that part. So,
touche.
Yeah,
jackass. When you do that.
It's all right, I get it, and I think it was a good quote. I think it was definitely good for the conversation. It sparked some good conversation. So Benjamin Franklin did his thing with that particular quote, but as a whole, no good war because there's going to be casualties no matter what. And bad peace, I think we didn't run out of time to be talking further about bad peace. I got to get to bed.
Plus, these edibles gonna be kicking in soon. Yo, I got the fast. Is it the fast acting? This may not be the fast acting. I'm gonna have to wait a couple more minutes anyway. Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna be sleepy soon too. I'm mad that I said that because I was about to make one more point. It doesn't matter because your screen just went blank again. So we probably need to just go ahead.
That was me.
Oh, okay.
But go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say something, but I don't remember. I feel like I was about to say something that Matt said. Oh, no, that's what I was about to say. So when Matt said that he was I'm going back up. What did he say? He said that Benjamin Franklin was a creep. He said an elite level creep, and he may have been a serial killer. I want to actually look into that because that makes this quote a little different if he was indeed a serial killer. I don't know. I don't listen. I don't know. But see, Matt is brilliant. Matt knows things, and then you're like, yo, for real? And then you go fact check, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I never knew that. So if he says certain things, I do want to go fact check that because if he so let's say that he was a serial killer, that changes this quote because that whole good war, bad peace, serial killer doesn't sit well with me.
Obviously, it would change a whole lot of people's opinion about Mr. Ben Frank if indeed he was killing cereal. Gotcha.
Killing cereal.
But like I said, I think it was dope. I think it was a good quote. I think it was worth the conversation. You still
all right. You got next week's quote?
Oh, Yeah, I do got next week's quote. Next week's quote.
Did you say
Next.
queef?
Yeah, no, I didn't say with the F. I said queeks.
No.
I was saying next weeks, and it said next queeks. Quote.
I just want to make sure you ain't queefing on this. This ain't the Queefs and Mirrors podcast. It's quotes.
No, because there's an impossibility there. There's by definition, there's an impossibility.
You're
Stop
right.
being light skinned. All right.
You're right. You're right. I just don't want no queefing on the show. That's it.
Right. I heard you. And apparently it's just fun to say.
It is queef. It is fun to say. Queef is a fun word. It is. Next week's the shirt that I'm gonna wear is gonna say queef. I'm gonna wear.
I want you to do that. I want you to go one step further and just get a tattoo.
That's stupid.
So that's stupid.
Yeah, that's stupid. Yeah, but next queef.
Right.
Next queef. That's next
queef. Next week's quote. What's the cat's name? Randy Alcorn. I gotta look into him too. But this was just a conversation that I had this past week that brought up the quote. The quote is: "It's always easier to avoid temptation than it is to resist it." So we're gonna see how we can break that down and see what's happening. That always part is really gonna be, I think, kind of the linchpin, but we'll see. All right.
I gotta really sit and figure out how I can shake that one up.
That's how we're looking forward to it. We'll see what's happening. We just drop it in the mix and see what come out.
Yeah.
All right. So this
do me a favor, send that to me. I wanna make sure I remember. My
okay.
memory.
Yeah, no worries. I'm about to. As a matter of fact, I'll send you the screenshot with the quote right now.
Okay.
But yeah. We good. We another episode, quotes and mirrors.
Yeah, I mean, cool. I feel like we went at war about this, but I'm at peace with it.
Yeah, that's all that matters as long as you're at peace.
That's really all that matters.
That's all that matters.
That is all that matters, though.
That's it. As long as that's been achieved, then mission accomplished. So, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Yo, I'm digging the comments coming more and more, and the participation of the people watching is super dope. So, y'all keep it coming. Y'all keep showing up. Tell your friends and have them show up, and just make it a whole watch party. So, but we're gonna wrap this one up. Another episode of Quotes and Mirrors is super dope. I am Uncommonterry.
And I'm Tyrell James. And on that note, and I quote, "There ain't never been a bad. Peace out."